Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Hayward's Revenge by Cailyn Lloyd, narrated by Hilary Huber. 1. The loud roar of a car engine spooked Leah MacKenzie. An odd sound, it burrowed into her sleepy brain. She lived in a quiet neighborhood, and people there didn't drive fast. Usually, lawnmowers and snowblowers were the only sounds that disturbed the peace. Leah was homeschooled, but on this warm, beautiful day, Mom had sent her outside for some fresh air. Leah had fallen asleep on the front lawn in the shade of an oak ablaze with bright fall colors. She felt a little groggy, still half asleep. Lying on a blanket with her dolls and an ornate wooden dollhouse, she had been dreaming about a doll wedding. The sound of that roaring engine washed over her like a murky shadow, a bad feeling, a warning. Her eyes flew open. Focusing on an approaching car, she sensed something dark, something within the car, or maybe even the car itself. She stood, grabbed her dolls, and glanced at the shelter of the garage, but sensed she had no time. The engine revved, and metal scraped as the car bounced over the edge of the driveway. Leah dashed behind the tree and pressed her back against the thick trunk as the car careened across the yard and crashed into the old oak with a horrendous screech of twisting metal and breaking glass. The tree and the ground beneath her feet shuddered with the impact and nearly knocked Leah off her feet. For a few seconds, there was silence, other than the faint hiss of steam. The air smelled like burnt plastic. Leah peeked toward the house just as Mom flew out the front door, looking about frantically, yelling, "Leah! Leah!" Several neighbors rushed out onto their lawns wearing shocked expressions. Mr. Spencer was talking on a phone and pointing with a serious face. As Leah stepped out from behind the tree, her mother grabbed her into her arms. "Thank God you're okay." "I'm okay, Mom. We should check the car, though." They inched toward a twisted mass of metal barely recognizable as a car, the steering wheel pointing uselessly through the broken windshield toward the sky. Mom held her hand and clenched it tighter as they approached. Leah knew she was nervous about what they would find, blood and guts or something worse, but the driver's seat was empty. Indeed, the car was empty. No driver nearby, just the crushed remains of her dollhouse. Still in shock, Leah started to cry. That antique house had once belonged to Grandma Laura. It was her last connection to a woman she loved dearly and who was now gone. Sadness washed over her. And then fear. That car had been aimed at her. Moments later, she heard sirens. 2. Dana MacKenzie sat at the kitchen table, fretting silently. Her kitchen was a mix of old and new, black stainless steel appliances, refinished oak cabinetry, quartz countertops, ceramic flooring patterned in a mix of brown and sage, the table reclaimed pine with a thick, distressed top. Watching Leah eating her bedtime snack, chocolate frozen yogurt, Dana tried to control the jumble of thoughts and fears rushing at her. The wrecked car had been towed away after being reported stolen earlier in the day. The police had canvassed the neighborhood and learned nothing. They suspected the driver had jumped out just before impact, but Dana didn't believe it, and sensed they didn't either. None of the neighbors actually saw anyone flee. The accident was inexplicable. A minor incident in the minds of the police, she feared, and an event soon forgotten in the face of more pressing matters. Dana feared a darker possibility. 2 years ago, her parents had been killed in Wisconsin, part of a twisted, improbable story involving a strange old Englishman named Kenrick Shepherd, a mysterious, dangerous presence in the house, and a series of events that led to a devastating explosion. Afterward, Dana concluded that her mother and Shepherd had stared down something evil in the house, the nature of which she could scarcely imagine. No need to. She believed that dark episode had ended when the house was destroyed, the remnants consumed by fire. Whatever they faced that night had died along with her parents and Shepherd. Believing that story implicitly was the only way Dana could live without fear, without looking over her shoulder every moment of the day. The first crack in the story appeared when another Englishman, Lachlan Hayward, came to visit last year. A longtime acquaintance of Shepherd's, he claimed to be investigating the death of his friend. He asked questions about the house in Wisconsin, and they talked for a while. He had promised to follow up with her, but she never heard from him again. Leah had, though. "Can I sleep in your room tonight?" Leah licked the spoon clean. Dana nodded. "Of course. Shower first." Leah whined. "Mom, no, not tonight." Dana rolled her eyes. They had this battle before every shower. "Not open to discussion. Go." "I knew you'd say that." Leah glared for a moment and skulked off. Dana heard the shower start a minute later. The other reason she feared a darker explanation was Leah herself. Just 5, Leah was tall for her age, with long blonde hair like her grandmother. She was highly intelligent and read at a 4th-grade level. She was even better at math, one reason she was homeschooled. The other was her keen perception. Her advanced mental capabilities emerged more than a year ago, first as an avid desire to read, and then as a rapidly expanding vocabulary. Incidental to that, it was soon clear Leah had inherited a gift from her grandmother. It had many names: the 6th sense, ESP, second sight. Leah MacKenzie had been a reluctant psychic, but Leah seemed content to embrace it. They were visiting Uncle Nate when Dana first realized it. He had lost his wallet. Leah, cute as could be, told him she had a dream. She dreamt the wallet was in his sofa. And it was. Dana knew instantly what that insight meant. After a period of denial, she searched the internet and discovered a veritable trove of material on raising a psychic or gifted child. Who knew? It was rather intuitive, all about giving children the room to develop their skills naturally, encouraging them, but also helping them avoid sensory overload with their feelings. Dana became a convert and supported her, fighting an ingrained bias against the paranormal. Still, as Leah grew and her gift became more evident, Dana felt less and less up to the task. Lachlan Hayward was also psychic, and he established a connection with Leah during his visit. A month later, Leah had a dream in which Lachlan warned that they were in some inexplicable danger, that they should move. He had been silent since. At the time, Dana didn't take the warning seriously. It was only a dream, and Leah didn't seem overly worried about the message, and she had sensed no immediate threat. Dana felt one now, and so did Leah. "Will you dry my hair?" Leah stood at the doorway with a towel wrapped around her head. "Yes, let's go." Sometimes the mundane aspects of motherhood kept her from becoming too introspective over the challenges of her life with Leah and her special gifts. An hour later, with Leah safely in bed, Dana paced on the flagstone patio behind their home, a beautiful century-old craftsman house with slate blue siding and white trim in Naperville, Illinois, sipping wine. A danger existed, but what could she do? She had no one to call, no one to confide in. She wasn't psychic like Leah, and yet Dana knew she was in danger, that her safe story had come unraveled, that whatever killed her parents had just paid them a visit, driving a stolen car. Assume the worst and plan accordingly, she decided. A runaway car was a difficult threat to anticipate or fend off. They had been lucky this time. The solution was obvious. They needed to leave the house for a while. Without second-guessing herself, Dana grabbed her laptop and searched for a house online. Within 10 minutes, she had bookmarked 5 promising furnished rentals where they could stay until she felt certain of their safety again. She would schedule tours in the morning. By tomorrow night, they would be somewhere else, whatever it took to ensure Leah's safety. While Dana wasn't Leah's birth mother, she had fully embraced the role. Leah was her late brother's child, and the resemblance was striking. At times, she saw Jacob in her expressions and mannerisms, and she found it both sad and warming. They had been close, and her deep grief remained, only partly assuaged by having his daughter to love and care for. Leah had lived with her grandparents, Lucas and Laura MacKenzie, until they died in the explosion at the house. Dana had then taken Leah in and adopted her. Being her mother and guardian was a full-time job. She remained single, too busy to worry about dating. Though Dana prayed the business in Wisconsin was over with, she had prepared as if it wasn't. She bought a gun, a Beretta M9, obtained a concealed carry permit, and practiced at a range weekly. She earned her second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, carried a taser, pepper spray, and a knife. Dana had become very proficient in self-defense and was determined that Leah would live a life free of the fears Dana had lived with for the past 2 years. Dana poured another glass of wine, then field-stripped and cleaned her gun. She walked a perimeter of the backyard, the Beretta in hand. The area was fenced, so she checked for breaches and scanned the ground for footprints. Satisfied the yard was secure, Dana locked the house and armed the alarm system for the first time this week. She had been getting careless lately. After changing into pajamas, Dana slipped the Beretta into her nightstand and set the taser next to the lamp, though they seemed inadequate against something that could send rogue vehicles after them. She slid into bed and stared at Leah for a minute. A beautiful and angelic child in repose, easing stray hairs away from her face. Dana put a protective arm around her and tried to relax, waiting for sleep to come. Leah awoke in a dark room. She took a moment to orient herself. Pressed against her mother, her faint scent was pleasant, reassuring. Within that cocoon of warmth and familiar smells, Leah felt safe, protected. Mom was asleep, breathing lightly, but Leah felt turmoil in her dreams. She couldn't see the dreams, but sensed her mood, and the mood was troubled. Leah felt troubled, too. Leah couldn't stop thinking about the car and knew it had been sent to hurt her. The police said the driver had probably run away, but Leah knew that wasn't true. No one was driving the car. She'd seen the empty driver's seat with her own eyes, but the police ignored her story. She was just a kid. What could she know? More than they realized. She had a special ability. She knew when Mom was sad and why. She had dreams and occasionally saw things before they happened. Sometimes she could hear other people's thoughts, not exact words, but impressions of what they were thinking and feeling. At first, she assumed it was normal, that everyone was like her, until she found Uncle Nate's wallet. Mom quietly freaked out. She was alarmed for some reason, and Leah felt bad, felt that she had done something wrong just because she found the wallet. Leah tried to turn the sensations off, but didn't know how. Slowly, Mom relaxed. Then she bought a book called Your Psychic Child. Most importantly, she stopped treating Leah like a misfit, encouraged her to talk about it and share her feelings and dreams when she had them, bought Leah books about special kids like Matilda and the Third Eye, a story about a girl with ESP. Then Lachlan came to visit. They had met only once, but Leah felt a strong and immediate connection with him. They shared the same special ability, the only person she had ever met who was like her. They could talk without speaking and have conversations in their heads. Until then, she had sometimes felt alone, even with Mom close by. She was different in a way that Mom didn't fully understand. Lachlan understood. After that first meeting, he spoke to her in a dream and warned her their house wasn't safe. While the dream was upsetting, Leah didn't feel any immediate sense of danger. Mom seemed to trust her feeling on the issue. Besides, Lachlan had sounded confused, had said he was asleep in a hospital and couldn't wake up. Leah didn't understand. If someone fell asleep in a hospital and didn't wake up, weren't they dead? Since then, she hadn't heard from Lachlan and felt no risk in the house. Until now. That car had been after her, driven by some mysterious thing Lachlan called the darkness. Leah just knew it, but she had no idea what to do next. Then she realized, if he could talk to her, she could talk to him. But how? Leah closed her eyes and pictured the person she remembered. A vivid image, a man with a kind face and a full head of white hair. She held the image front and center and sent out a thought. Lachlan, I need to talk to you. She repeated the message for several minutes in her head, then tried speaking the words aloud. Nothing happened. Of course not. She had no idea what she was doing. She would talk to Mom tomorrow and ask her to find Lachlan. He would have the answers to her questions. Mom wouldn't like it, though. Whenever the subject of the old house in Wisconsin came up, she grew quiet and had sad thoughts. Finally, she decided to sleep on it, rolling over and snuggling into Mom. Then, as clear as a bell, she heard Lachlan speak. Leah, how are you? At first, she didn't realize the voice was in her head. Lachlan! She spoke quite loudly, but Mom didn't stir. She wondered how she should proceed. Talk? Just think the words? Finally, she thought, I'm okay, but someone tried to hurt me today. At the house? Yes. I was afraid of that. She could picture him talking, though he looked thinner than she remembered. Was that possible? To see him now? She wondered where he was. Can you come here? No, I'm still asleep. Do you understand what a coma is? No. I'm asleep and I can't wake up. His voice was fading, growing quieter as he spoke. I need help. I need Finn. What's Finn? A friend. He can help me. Can't you talk to him? No, he's too far away. I need you to call him on the phone. He slowly recited a string of numbers. Leah pictured the numbers in her head in bright colors. Now they were memorized. Can you repeat it? She did. The voice in her head grew fainter. I'm at Elmwood Rehabilitation Center in Auburn. Will you remember that? Leah repeated the name. In a faint whisper, he said, Very good. One more thing. Remember these words. Repeat them to Finn. He spoke a string of words. They made no sense to Leah, but she would remember them phonetically. She had a very good memory. She repeated them. Perfect, Leah. Mom stirred and rolled over, looking at her through one sleepy eye. What are you doing? What? You were whispering. I thought you were talking in your sleep. Had she been talking aloud? I was talking to Lachlan. Mom suddenly sat bolt upright, a worried look on her face. What? How? In my head. Mom brushed her dark hair from her face and eyed Leah with an expression somewhere between concern and anger. What does he want? He needs help waking up. What? Mom looked dazed and anxious now. Leah wished she had been quieter. This talk would have been easier in the morning. He's still asleep, in a coma. How can he talk to you then? I don't know. Leah shook her head, still confused by the question herself. He wants help from you? He wants me to call a friend of his. I don't want you involved, sweetie. Mom knitted her brow in worry. I think I already am. So does Lachlan. The strange, dark sensation she felt earlier in the day returned. Damn it. Mom! Oops. Mom covered her mouth, pretending shock. Leah giggled. Mom looked silly. Mom leaned over and turned on her bedside lamp. I guess I'm done sleeping for the night. So, what are we going to do? We're not taking any chances with your safety. Tomorrow, we're going to rent a house for a month or two until we figure this out. We should call his friend right away, Leah said. It can wait until we get situated somewhere else. Did you write the number down? No. Leah recited the long string of numbers. Whoa, slow down. Dana grabbed a pen and a piece of paper from the nightstand. Tell me again, please. Leah repeated the number, then said, I'm tired, Mom. Can we go to sleep now? You can sleep. I'm going to make some coffee. Mom got up. Leah rolled over, exhausted, feeling sad that she had upset her mother again. She called to Lachlan one more time, but received no answer. Drifting off to sleep, a black cloud lurked at the edges of her consciousness, a sign of trouble ahead. 3. Kira O'Donnell stared at the bouncing road ahead. Black asphalt, yellow lines, a stunning array of trees ablaze with reds, golds, and yellows lining each side. Trying to maintain the singular frame of mind needed to finish, she controlled her breathing and paced her stride, her footfalls thumping in her head. Others ran ahead of her, more runners followed behind. Sunny and 60, it was a perfect day to run. Still, she was sweaty and exhausted, and her left knee felt tricky. Less than 3 miles remained to the finish line of the Kettle Moraine Fall Marathon, her first full marathon in 2 years, a course that wound through utterly beautiful countryside in eastern Wisconsin. Kira focused on the goal, not the fatigue, or the searing pain in her quads and hamstrings, her aching feet, her chafed thighs. Someone ahead fell and was slow to get up. Kira feared falling as well and being unable to continue, quitting in sight of the finish line. The guy stood and walked a few steps. Kira gave him a light pat on the back as she passed. Good job. You got it. If only she felt as bright as she sounded. She passed the sign at the Miller's Crossing city limits. A different feeling overtook Kira as she passed vacant lots and stretches of new construction, reminders of the tornado last year that destroyed half the town. A bittersweet feeling, really, at the tremendous sense of loss she felt personally and for the town itself. Still, people were rebuilding, businesses returning. They had almost finished the new bank. Dozens of houses had been rebuilt. Some of their favorite haunts that had been closed for months had opened again. These stray thoughts kept creeping in, interfering with her concentration. She refocused on the road, the runners ahead, the people lining the course. Man, she was tired. So tired that knowing only a mile or so remained failed to spur her on. Every bone, every muscle in her body ached. Why was she doing this? Though with the marathon almost over, it was a strange time for second thoughts. Oh, yeah. The marathon was part of a personal rebuilding effort after a particularly shitty year. Running, dating again, writing, all efforts to put her life back on track. She was running, so that was good, but her writing languished and dating was a nightmare. Men in their 40s didn't want to date women in their 40s. They were chasing the cute 20-somethings. Instead, she was besieged with messages from men in their 60s, and while she recognized some hypocrisy in her decision, she had no intention of dating any guy old enough to be her dad. Concentrate, Kira. Run. Then she saw Martin Road ahead and the corner where Quinlan's Tavern used to stand. Once a thriving business, she and Josh had built it from scratch. Now, it was something of a metaphor for her messed-up life. The tornado had destroyed the tavern, and Josh had walked out on her in anger. The sight of that empty lot threw her breathing and pacing. It felt like a stab wound to the heart. Kira thought she was ready to face it after avoiding this spot for months. She stared straight ahead and tried to ignore it. Running past the lot, her right foot landed in a dip in the road, her ankle twisted, and Kira went sprawling. She hit hard and felt the road tear her knee. She lay there for a moment, forcing back tears. Her ankle throbbed, the same ankle she broke 15 months ago in a bad landing from a skydive. Damn it! Perversely, lying there felt good. She could stay down, but Kira refused to yield to defeat. She rolled and stood, slowly bringing weight to bear on the ankle. It hurt like hell, but it held. She took a step, then another, working up to an excruciating but manageable hobble. Passing runners patted her on the back and encouraged her on. People lining the road cheered the runners on, cheered her on. Looking ahead, Kira saw the last curve on the course as she ran northeast on Main Street. It was under half a mile to the bridge crossing the Milwaukee River and the finish line. A mental sigh of relief. She had this. She saw Willow Monroe wearing a forest green maxi wrap and a wide-brimmed sun hat, waving. She and Willow had been friends since childhood. A flower child and New Age fruitcake, she was a genuinely sweet soul who dabbled in tarot, palmistry, and numerology. None of it helped her in the relationship department. Willow went through boyfriends like some women went through purses. She looked stunning, in a way Kira never would, with wavy blonde hair and a dewy complexion that was perfect. Though Willow was 44, she looked 10 years younger. Fighting back tears of pain, Kira limped until she crossed the line with a bloody knee and throbbing ankle. She did it. Willow ran over and gave her a big hug, saving her from collapse. "Awesome, sweetie, just awesome!" "Thanks," she murmured with a pained exhalation. Willow handed her a Powerade. "How's the ankle? I saw you go down." "Bad. I need drugs. How about Chardonnay?" "That'll do. For now." Kira iced and wrapped her ankle and then showered. After the run, Kira was craving carbs, and a big plate of pasta was exactly what she needed. They went to dinner at a lovely new Italian restaurant in town. Bartola's had a cozy Italian feel, and being a Saturday night, it was crowded. Luckily, they had made a reservation the night before. The waiter, tall and hot, wearing a crisp white shirt, a black bow tie, and black dress pants, led them to a small table with a white linen tablecloth, a candle, and roses in a centerpiece. After handing them menus and taking an order for 2 Sonoma-Cutrer Chardonnays, he disappeared into the kitchen. "He's rather yummy," Willow said with a naughty grin. Kira waved her off. "Go for it. I'm off men." "Will you get over Josh already?" Kira crossed her arms. "I can't. And you aren't dating anyone either." "That's just me. I'm not sitting around moping and feeling sorry for myself," Willow said smugly. "Am not." "Are too." "Really?" Kira said. "Aren't we a little old for this?" "I'm serious. The marathon was a good start, but you need to get a job or do something meaningful." Willow adopted a motherly expression. "I am." Kira dropped her napkin in her lap. "I'm writing a book." "So you say. I haven't seen a page yet." "Hey, I've been taking classes and working with an editor who says I'm not completely hopeless." "Whatever." "And what have you been doing?" Kira poked Willow's arm with a finger. "I've been busy. I picked up a ton of new clients after that magazine article in August." The waiter returned with their glasses of wine and took their order. A seafood fettuccine for Kira and shrimp scampi for Willow. He did have a lovely basso voice and a nice ass, she noted as he walked away. "I'll have a draft of the book ready in a week. Want to read it for me?" Kira said, though she would only have something ready if she wrote like hell. "Of course I do. You didn't make me look too crazy, did you?" "Not too much," Kira smirked. Crazy enough, but it was entirely accurate. "Your name won't be Willow in the book anyway." Willow suddenly frowned and put her fingers to her temple with a wince. Headache? Eyes still closed, Willow shook her head.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?